Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So we're in the Jeep. I'm gonna kind of give you my first impressions of this thing. Hope the camera isn't bouncing too bad. If it is, I apologize. We're in a Jeep. It's a little bit of a rough ride. We hit bumps, it vibrates. You know, I'm not allowed to hold my phone anymore. I used to hold my phone to do these videos, and I could kind of give with the bounces, but you're not allowed to hold your phone anymore in Tennessee and drive. So we have it on a GoPro mount. But I'm gonna give you my initial impressions. The air conditioner is pretty good. Like I said in the video introducing the Jeep to the channel, the second setting doesn't work, but from what I've read online, it's just that switch. It's a cheap fix, so we should be able to get that done pretty quick, and that's probably what you need. But the air conditioner does work really well, and the only reason I begin with that is because it is like 93 degrees here today, and it is hot. So you want a good air conditioner, and it does have. Now, I want to say mid-range and upper range power is a little lacking. But that being said, this is a Jeep Wrangler. It's not a, supercharged Mustang. So, you don't expect it to have tons of power. But the low-end torque is actually pretty good in this 4.0 inline six. The low-end torque, like I said, I was actually surprised when I drove it. I do want to say this Jeep drives smoother than any other Jeep I drove. I drove a lot of Jeeps before I decided to buy this one. Now, in case you don't know or didn't watch the intro to this Jeep video, this is an 05 Jeep Wrangler TJ X with 68,011 miles on it right now. I was very fortunate to find a Jeep Wrangler, an 05 TJ with that low of miles. Very, very fortunate. I got very lucky again using Craigslist. If you've not seen my Craigslist video, please go back and watch it, and I'll tell you why I use Craigslist whenever I'm buying vehicles, and this is just another example of that. The seating, these are upgraded seats from what I've read on the build sheet. They are amazing. They are way better than the standard Jeep seats, than the other Jeeps that I had test drove, at least in the TJ models. I didn't drive any of the newer ones. I didn't look for an 07 to 11. That's a different video. I will tell you guys why I didn't look at that at a later video. But the 13s or the 12s and up, they were just out of my budget price range. I had a budget, had to go by that budget. I wasn't looking to get rid of anything I had. I wasn't looking to get rid of my truck or Mustang. So, I had to set myself a budget and stick to that. I actually still went above budget. It is what it is. I do that every time. There's that brake squeal. We're actually on our way to buy some ceramic brake pads right now. The brakes are okay in this, but they squeal. I do want to say, the brakes work decent. I mean, they're not bad. They get real stiff at the top. I do notice that in this Jeep. I guess every vehicle's a little different, but these are kind of stiff at the top, but they do work pretty well. And one thing I do like about this is the throttle response is pretty amazing in this Jeep. It's very quick. It's very responsive, and I love that. I drove some other vehicles and some other Jeeps that throttle response was not as good as this. All the other Jeeps I drove were manuals, and that may be why I kind of had my sights set on a manual. But when I found this one with such low miles, I went ahead and got the automatic. I've been reading up online and stuff, and the automatic transmission of these, knock on wood, seem to be really good transmissions. They hold up well. If you start having problems with them, from what I've heard, you drain the fluid, change the filter, and pretty much it goes right back to like it was before it started messing up. So, they're pretty good transmissions from what I've read, so I went ahead and went with an automatic. The windshield wipers work, but man, I want to tell you, these things are tiny. And that leads me to something else when I looked up the windshield wipers. When I first drove this Jeep, it felt really weird. And it's still a little weird. And if you're used to driving a truck or a car or something like that, it's going to be a little weird when you get in this because it is so boxy. This windshield is completely flat. It's straight, almost straight up and down. it just looks kind of funny till you get used to it. And I just feel like I'm in a box. And I know that's not the case. Oh, well, I guess it kind of is the case. This is a square Jeep. But, you know, that's what it's supposed to be. We're fixing to hit a railroad track. It's fixing to bounce big time. But that's what it's supposed to be. It just takes you a minute to get used to that. You're not used to sitting in something that's this square. And that was the very first thing I noticed when I got in this one. And I think I noticed it more because it has the hard top, and I didn't notice it as much in the soft tops. Of course, a lot of the soft tops I drove did not have the windows in them. Some of them didn't have the doors on them, whatever the case may be. But this was the first one I'd really got in, and everything was on it. And I just felt like I was so boxed in. Like I said, that's not a bad thing. I just felt like I was boxed in. When I test drove this, it did not have the top on it. I actually had to help put the top on it before we brought it home, or before I brought it home. But once I got the top on it, I was like, man, this thing is really boxy on the inside. I don't mean to talk about that a lot, but it really, you know, hit me pretty hard when I got in it. I was like, man. But I'm starting to get used to it now. And actually, once I daily drive this, because this is going to be my daily driver, my truck will probably actually look weird, and my Mustang will probably actually look weird when I get back in them. But now I'm back to the video. I've rambled enough about that. The steering is amazing in this. I've always said Toyota has steering on lock. I mean, they are awesome, and that's still true. Jeep is pretty doggone close to that. My Mustang, not so much. It has really tight steering. It's probably supposed to. It's a sports car, but the steering in this is amazing. I mean, it is just straight up amazing how easy it is to steer. It is very, very, very close to my Tundra, and that's saying a lot, because I've always said that the Tundras have the best steering of anything I've ever driven. This must be something different than what I've drove. The other Jeeps I test drove had around 120,000 miles on them, 130,000 miles on them. So I decided to up my budget and buy something with a little bit lower miles, a little bit, you know, better, you know, Jeep, something that wasn't beat up as bad. And I don't notice, or I don't remember noticing those other Jeeps steering this easy. Now, I don't know if it's because it had that many miles on them, or they just didn't steer like this one does. But I would have thought that was something I would have noticed in the test drive, and I did not notice that. This thing is so smooth on the steering. And I also want to say this is the quietest Jeep that I test drove. This thing is crazy quiet. It's pretty amazing how quiet it actually is. The rest of them were loud. The exhausts were loud. I don't know if they changed the exhaust on those or what, but they were kind of loud. This one's just quiet all the way around. And I like that. That is one thing that really set apart. That's also one of the first things I noticed as soon as I started it. I was like, it started so easy, and it was so quiet, and it drives just as easily as it starts. I mean, it's amazing. Now, as far as leg room and seats and stuff go, the seats are really comfortable. Like I talked about before, I'm 6'3", not a ton of leg room in these things. It's just not there. I do want to say that they do make an extender for these seats. It scoots it back 4 inches. They're like 30 some dollars. I will be buying those and doing a video of an install. I don't know if they fit both passenger and driver seat, but I will definitely be buying one for the driver's seat for sure. Just because I think I need that extra 4 inches of leg room, because I'm almost feel like I'm straight up and down right now. So I will be buying that. But other than leg room, it's actually really comfortable. I brought it down the interstate at like 70, 75 mile an hour, and it cruised right along. I mean, it rode just about as smooth as my truck did at that speed. I thought it would ride a lot rougher on the interstate, especially at those higher speeds, and it didn't. I was amazed. Now, it is a Jeep. You hit a bump, you know you've hit a bump. But cruising speeds down the interstate, it just cruised right along like nothing was going on. It was actually a pretty nice ride, other than the lack of leg room. You can see right here how the camera bounces when I hit those bumps. You still know when you've hit a bump, but it's not as bad as what I thought it would be. Like I said before, the power of the engine, mid-range power is okay. It's not nothing to write home about, and high-end power is really non-existent, but that's not what Jeeps are about to begin with. The other things I want to talk about are like the top. I will be buying a, or probably by the time this video goes up, I will have already bought a soft top. I'm going to get the one of the best tops. I've done talked to best tops and decided which one I'm going to get. But by the time this video goes up, it will have a soft top, because I think these hard tops are like 120 pounds, and it's just a pain in the hind end to take it off and on. I will run this in the winter, but I'm not going to run this in the summer. I want something I can take off and on by myself and not strain myself or anything like that trying to get it off and on. Something that I don't have to take 6 bolts out of it to take the top off. So that's actually going to be coming. I'm sure this video will go up before that. But that's something to think about if you're looking to buy one of these. Do you really want to run a hard top all year? Like I said, I'm not even sure I'll ever put this back on. I may sell it. I'm not 100% sure. But I think it will be warmer in the winter than the soft top will be. And I know it's going to be quieter right now, but I would rather have a rag top on it so I can take it off and on myself. Other than that, it's pretty much what you'd expect out of a Jeep. I do think the 4.0 engine that's in this Jeep is probably one of the best engines that Chrysler has ever put out. You see them with 250 to 300,000 miles on them and still trucking, and they hold their value like crazy. Again, I bought this for the channel, for you guys. I was running out of stuff to talk about on the Tundra a little bit, so I kind of wanted something, you know, to fill that gap. The Tundra's not going anywhere. I'll still be doing Tundra videos, but there may be a lot of these in between those, just because I've done so much to that truck. I've talked about that truck for 2 years now, and I just wanted to start on another project. And Jeeps are Legos. They are the Legos of the car industry. If you can dream it, you can do it. This will be my daily driver. I'll drive this every single day to keep the miles off my truck. I was putting a lot of miles on my truck, driving it back and forth to work and around town and everything, so now I don't have to do that anymore. If you have any questions about the Jeep, let me know. If you're looking for a TJ, they're out there. They're few and far between with really low miles, but if you keep your eye out, just like I did, it may take you a few months. You can find one with under 70,000 miles. This is proof of it. You just have to be patient and diligent. I was checking Craigslist every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And I would check surrounding areas. I wouldn't just check one area. I would be willing to drive 100 miles or so, or 75 miles, and I would check that radius and do my best to find, you know, the lowest mileage when I could. And I looked up and found this one. So like I said, they're out there. You just have to be patient. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.